Welcome, one and all, to the K.O.E. Nation for a long-coming spirits review. I am your King of Extreme, Phil K.O.E., the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man that makes the other podcast cower, the prince and potentate of the political parlance, and one damn handsome man, if I do say so myself, joined by my indomitable broadcast partner, the one, the only,
Tony fucking G. Like, share, subscribe. Also, Tony the Road. Excuse me. I'm excited. Tony the Rod 2.0 on the TikTok. And of course, KOE Nation on TikTok.
Yes, but tonight we're getting to something that's been a long time coming.
I don't know how it's taken us this long.
Yeah, well, we did the Maker's Mark line. We did a review of Maker's Mark 101,
Yes.
And then we kind of got distracted.
Well, okay, that's fair. There's a lot of whiskey out there. I don't know if
Turns
you're aware
out-
of this.
Turns out there's more than a few, actually.
Standard Maker's Mark Bourbon Whiskey.
Yep.
Here we go.
Now, one of the reasons I'm kind of particular to Maker's Mark, as you can tell.
I didn't notice.
Yes. As I've said a few times on this channel, my grandmother always would order a bourbon press or bourbon Presbyterian. Third bourbon, third 7-Up, third water, served in a tall glass on the rocks. And they'd always ask, so what kind of bourbon you want? She said, I don't care. And what she would have at her house was a bottle of Maker's Mark, and she would wait till it was on sale.
There you go.
So she would just be like shaking her head, seeing all the, like, why would you spend this money on this extra different Maker's Mark? She would not be down, but different generation. She was from the Depression and also World War II, which during World War II, you drank bourbon, but you pretty much didn't.
Well, there
It
you
wasn't
go.
like scotch coming across the way or nothing like that. Yeah. So that's a bit of a little personal history and why, like me growing up, I always remember seeing the red wax in my grandma's cabinet, and that was where I'd play with my little Legos and Micro Machines. And so,
Yeah, when I didn't know much about whiskey in my much younger years, we weren't feeling a bottle of Crown Royal to mix for the evening. We'd spring for a bottle of Maker's Mark because, damn it just looks badass.
Yep, and this is a wheated bourbon. It's not what really... It's been going for about as long as there's been wheated bourbons, but it's not what really started the wheated bourbon craze. But I always say, like, folks, if you're thinking about dropping a whole lot of money on a bottle of Pappy's, I would say don't do that. Get yourself a bottle of Maker's Mark Private Select, and you'll have a great time with it.
Yeah.
And you and your loved ones, you and yours, will have a great bottle that you'll thoroughly
Well, you'll be
enjoy.
able to buy like 10 bottles of Private Select.
Yeah, or like the FAEO 1 or FAEO 2, like just great products that they have that they come out with. But this, their standard offering, Maker's Mark. So let's see how it hits the nose. It's got that, like, it's got a little bit of that copper.
Yeah.
It's got brown sugars. A slight stewed fruit. That's very slight.
Yeah, there's a cakey.
You get more of that in there. You get a lot more sweet and a lot more stewed fruits the higher up their selection they go. But
I've been trying to get the nose on this just right. I've got like a cakey sweetness.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Well,
it's very nice. You kind of know what to expect with basic standard offerings on most whiskeys, and you know it's not going to be the most intricate aroma, but this one is really nice.
Yeah, I've never had anything from Makers that I wasn't pleased with to the capacity that it was meant for.
Mm. So smooth. You got a nice tingle on the backside to remind you you're still drinking bourbon, but it's like a dried fruit finish on that. I want to say like an apple.
Mm-hmm. There is a slight bit of caramel, tiny bit of vanilla that actually comes through, like the typical bourbon flavors that you want to get. But there's also, like I said, there's that bit of copper, that bit of brown sugar and cinnamon, and tiniest bit of red fruit, but not much.
Yeah.
Now, full disclosure, there's a lot more muted flavors compared to what Tony and I drank this just earlier this evening to give a review of Maker's Mark Cask Strength 46. And so this kind of feels like, well, they turned this copper flavor up to 11.
Well, for me, I think it's just more apparent. This is 90 proof. You go over to the Maker's 101, all the hidden aromas and flavors
really start to come out.
They're here.
Perfect. Like this is one of the perfect whiskeys.
That really is one of the best 101 proofs you're going to find out.
Yeah. I mean, and this is coming from a guy who's a big fan of everything that Wild Turkey's ever tried.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, but yeah, like the Maker's Mark Distillery, they've got a whiskey for you. Trust me.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I
can't
recommend this enough.
Very, very peanutty. Right in the middle. Not like a peanut butter, not like a chocolate covered peanut, but I mean peanut.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is really nice, honestly. I think, and that comes through tenfold with the 101. It's just this is a really nice drinkable.
Now
bourbon.
you say it, I can't.
Yeah, you can't.
Not.
Yeah.
That's the power of suggestion.
Yep. Really good stuff. So, without further ado,
move on to the grading. For those who don't know, we grade on a 5-star scale. 5 meaning you have to have it before you shuffle off this mortal coil. 0 meaning pass it on by. The K.O.E Nation has advised you well. So we're going to grade this as a bourbon, as a whiskey, as a cask-aged spirit. It's shelving the secret 5th question for those that are new to the show. And also, let's just, because why not, as a Maker's Mark, what would you rate this on a 5-star scale?
Oh, hell. As a Maker's Mark,
you kind of have to go 2.5, don't you? It's right in the middle.
No, I would even go 3.25. Like,
okay.
This has got a really nice proof. It doesn't insist upon itself. This is one of the better examples of a base offering from a really respectable distillery. So no, yeah, I think that's fair.
I'll go 3. He convinced me. Well done. So now we move on to bourbon as a bourbon whiskey on a 5-star scale.
Oh, it's really pleasant, not offensive at all, super drinkable, good flavor profile, a little bit of hidden in there on the aroma and the palate. I'm going to go 3.25.
3.25.
Yep.
As a bourbon, I'm going to disagree, but only just. And I'm going to give it 3.5.
That's fair.
Because this has everything you'd look for in a typical bourbon, plus a little more.
That's fair. You know what? Yeah, that's fair.
A few extra
I will
flavors.
agree. You're right. 3.5.
Power
That's
of persuasion,
fair.
folks.
That is fair.
Now we move on to whiskey. As a whiskey in the whole wide world of whiskey, all your scotches, your Canadian whiskeys, bourbon whiskeys, Japanese whiskeys, anything that you can think of in the world of whiskey.
I'm gonna go 3.
3.
Yep.
Straight up 3.
Straight up 3.
Okay.
Because it's such a wide world. And when we're talking whiskey, I generally want a little bit higher proof if I'm drinking a bourbon. And like the hidden flavors come through a little harder with the 101, which is a little more my jam. So yeah, 3.
We go 3.25.
Okay.
Disagree, but only just.
Yep.
I think this is one that you could definitely, pretty much any cocktail that you could use bourbon in, this one is custom designed for it.
Sure. Absolutely.
Go great on the rocks. And this is even one, I don't generally recommend that people do this, but yeah, if you left this in the freezer and then just pulled it out for just general enjoyment of the group, yes, this would be a great one. So I'm going to give it 3.25. So now,
totally fair.
Cask aged spirit.
3.25.
3.25 as a cask aged spirit. Why is that?
Because obviously we've seen what else they can do in terms of shaking things up. We know what they're capable of. And if you're going to compare this to all of that, obviously we know there's a ton of room for improvement. Not that this is bad, but there's so many different directions that they can go, and these kind of prove that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you, but I'm actually going to go 3.
Okay.
Because cask age, like I'm also thinking about, there's amazing cognacs and armagnacs
and
all this amazing stuff out there. So you got to leave some room for upward motion, if you will. So I'm going to go there. Now, shelving. My own self be true to.
It's a bottom. I mean, not that it doesn't deserve the placement, but it is the basic standard offering from the line, and it's very affordable. It's very well stocked everywhere you go, so it's not like it's one that you have to promote. Like, look at this.
Like, I'm
got
curious,
a bottle of regular Maker's Mark on the top shelf.
Like, yeah, it is a bottom shelf, let's be honest. But I'm wondering, is there, like, it is so available. Is there anywhere, if you in the comments are like, at my retail location, I cannot get a bottle of standard Maker's Mark, let me know in the comments. Yeah. I need to know what corner of this planet Earth you live on.
Yeah, I specifically bought that bottle of Maker's Mark in a gas station in Nebraska.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and it's still kicking. So, now the secret fifth question. Tony, what did this cost you USD?
That was a $20 bottle.
$20.
You're generally going to find it for probably like 26.
One Andrew Jackson.
Yep. Nope,
we probably dated this video now. But yes, one $20 bill will buy you this. When this runs empty, will I seek another bottle? Yes. It's a great mixer. Like, why wouldn't you?
And your Maker's collection really isn't complete without the stick.
I was about to say that, and it's one of those when you got some muppet over, you don't really want to pour them any of the good stuff. It's like, yeah, here you go. Have some. Because, yeah, like this I'm saving for very special occasions.
That's fair.
But, well, T, anything else you'd like to say to the people?
Nah, Maker's is wonderful. Great line, and probably one of the better base offerings from a distillery, like I said.
Well, as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, thank you for joining us for this review of Maker's Mark. Long time coming, and I'm glad to bring it to you. I am your King of Extreme, Phil K.O.E., the man of the hour, the man of the power, the man that makes the other podcast cower. Folks, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. I hope to find all of you back here happy, healthy, much the wiser. Catch you later, folks.
Make us mock.
Here and see if it just smooths itself out.
Get back, tell you what I'll do. If I ever get back, I promise to refabricate you, raging rivers of gold. That's what the brochure advertised. And now we're lost, we gotta take it down. Let you down slow, it's hard to survive.
Nice.
El Dorado. Oh, Lord. Well, let's see how that one went.
Yeah.